The pressure heel flip. This is a trick where the board flips in the same direction as a heel flip, except you're not popping and kicking the board, but rather relying completely on the pressure of your back foot. This trick looks like it's relatively simple, but it can actually be pretty tricky if you don't have much experience doing pressure flips. The only things you should really know for this trick are just being extremely comfortable on your board so you have good control, and it can really help if you know regular pressure flips, but this is not a requirement. And one other thing, a lot of people will probably ask if it matters if you have tight or loose trucks for this, and in general, I think that you can leave your trucks pretty much however tight or loose you want them, but for this video, I did tighten up my back trucks just a bit so I could get a faster flip. So there's not a whole lot of moving parts to this trick. The main motion all comes from your back foot, pressing down on the toe side of your board, and then finally when enough pressure is built up, you jump and sort of push your back foot forward, which should cause the board to spin, and then you just wait for it to come back around and land on it. For the foot positioning of this trick, I sort of set my front foot up, centered between the bolts, but a little off to the left side of the board, and it's almost facing completely forwards. This foot mainly just gets out of the way for this trick, but when you're rolling up, it can sort of counterbalance the pressure put into the other side of the board by your back foot. And for your back foot, you want to put it on the toe side of your board, just behind the wheel, and you want to be standing mostly on the ball of your foot and your big toe. And also this foot is facing forward a lot too, maybe slightly angled. So for me, it pretty much looks like this when I'm rolling. So 2 important things that you want to watch out for before starting this trick are, first, you want to make sure that you're definitely not popping the tail like you would for a regular heel flip. And second, you're also definitely not kicking the board with your front foot in order to get it to do a heel flip. So if you're not popping and you're not flicking, then how do you get the board to spin like a heel flip? First of all, I just want to mention one more time that if you know how to do regular pressure flips, then this trick is going to be so much easier. And I actually think regular pressure flips are a lot easier than this one. So you may want to check out how to learn those first, and I'll put a card up in the corner. But the main thing to learn here is the motion of your back foot in order to get the board to flip over. So when you're doing this, there's a very particular spot that you're going to want to balance all of the weight of the ball and toe of your foot on. And for me, that's right here, right behind the back wheel, and to the side, kind of in between that space between your bolts and the edge of your board, but a little off to the edge more. It's here that you're going to lean down with all of your weight and then push your foot off to the side as you jump in order to get the board to flip. And this combination of motions is the thing that people probably have the most trouble with when it comes to pressure tricks. You can see that I start to lean all of my weight on my back foot over that wheel, kind of like I'm purposely giving myself a wheel bite. And then right when I've pressed down all the way, I start to jump and then give a little pushing outward motion with my back foot. And then really, once you've put all that weight in your back foot and you've jumped, the board should flip and you should stay above it and land on it. But there are a lot of things that can go wrong, so I'm going to go over a few of them. First of all, I mentioned earlier not to pop the board, and you'll know pretty quickly if this is what you're doing, because the board will tend to just sort of fly up or flip away from you all weird. And also, if you do have the pressure part of it down, but your board is still doing the same thing, then it may mean that your foot is just a little bit too far back towards the tail. And conversely, if you're doing the pressure part right, but the board is just sort of flipping onto the grip tape, it probably means your foot is pressing down a little too far over the wheel and should be moved back just a little bit into the pocket. So you can practice the back foot motion just standing still and only using your back foot on the board. By pressing down on your back foot and then kicking it off to the side, it should cause the board to flip over like a heel flip. This won't be the full feeling of the trick because you can't really put all of your pressure into your back foot, but it's a good starting point. And so once you start to get that down, it's good to practice while rolling and landing with one foot. There's a good deal of timing that goes down with this trick that involves pressing down and then releasing off your back foot just as you're going to jump. And if you've gotten this far and you're sort of in the territory where you feel like you want to start to land it, 2 more things that I should probably point out are that it's pretty hard to get this trick leveled out. You're probably going to end up rocketing it. And I don't think that's just me. I've seen a lot of pros and way better people do it just like this. It's just sort of the nature of the trick, and I'm sure you can level it out better with enough practice. And the other thing is that if you're getting ready to actually try and stomp this one, this is a trick that's really easy to land primo on if you don't get enough pressure in there to flip the board fast enough. So once you have the main concepts down, like I said before, just start going for it and maybe landing with one foot. You'll definitely feel when you have that right little pressure pop down, because once you jump off of your back foot, you'll kind of feel the board spring up and do a quick flip. And then once you start to see the board actually flipping around enough, then it's time to actually jump up and stay centered above the board and then try and land on it. Pressure tricks are kind of hard to do how-tos on because it's a very specific feeling that's hard to put into words. But in my opinion, they're also some of the most fun, so I really wanted to try and explain it in this video. So hopefully you at least kind of can grasp the concept of what you're supposed to be doing, especially with your back foot. Like I said, if you don't know regular pressure flips, I would definitely go and learn those first because I think they're a lot easier than these. But either way, once you've practiced enough and you start to get the feeling down, then you should almost be able to do these every try. They're kind of one of those tricks where they seem really hard, but once you learn that little trick, they're actually kind of easy to flip. So I hope that this helped you at least learn a little bit more about this trick and how to do it. Just remember to keep practicing and you'll probably get it. And if you're still having trouble, then you can always check out other trick tips. I'm sure that there's some little tips that I missed. So as always, I'd like to give a huge thank you to my Patreon pledgers. They really help out and keep these videos possible, so thank you guys. And besides that, I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and you can like and subscribe if you want.